Many governments in Pacific Island countries have to balance the use of scarce resources between people living in central islands where most of the people live and remote outer islands where smaller numbers of people reside. Migration between main islands and outer islands and vice versa has been taking place for decades, and the causes are complex. They include access to better job opportunities, education, and medical facilities in main islands. Added to which, there is a delicate balance between a more traditional lifestyle in outer islands versus a more modern one on main islands. The debate has more recently been influenced by a greater understanding of the impacts of climate change on people's lives and livelihoods. To discuss the complex issue of migration from outer islands to main islands in the North Pacific countries, a panel discussion was held in Pohnpei, Micronesia on 25th April 2018.
As somebody mentioned, we are tied to the land.
This took place during a regional meeting organized by the European Union North Pacific Readiness for El Niño project, which is implemented by the Pacific Community. The three countries of the Federated States of Micronesia, Marshall Islands and Palau are small island developing states with a combined population of 185,000 people. Each country comprises numerous islands. Some of these islands are high volcanic islands, while others are low-lying atolls with heights only 3 to 5 meters above sea level. Between 1979 and 1994, these three North Pacific countries gained independence from the USA. They each became sovereign self-governing states in free association with the USA, which is solely responsible for their defense. The three countries have a compact of free association with the USA. Under the compact agreement, they receive direct funding from the USA to help their governments and economies. Citizens from Palau, Federated States of Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands can visit, live, work, and study in the USA. American citizens have reciprocal rights and can live and work in each of these three countries. An analysis of migration trends in the Federated States of Micronesia shows a complex pattern of movement from outer islands to main islands, and from main islands to the USA. This pattern is linked to economic booms.
The migration picks up during the times of most economic difficulty. In the 1980s, there was a pickup in migration from the outer islands to the town centers. The US was already starting to pour more money into the public service. And so more and more people were migrating. The migration from outer islands to the urban areas picked up during that period as people were coming in search for jobs. And during this time also you saw a lot of migration outwards. And many of the migrations are also associated with people who are moving to the town centers.
Whilst outer islanders do not have high incomes, they are not poor. There is always plenty of food to eat.
There is a word was used describing the outer islands that was poor. I don't think that is a proper word to use. Income, yes. Low income, yes. That I have no objection to that. Poor, we have to define it. When I'm in outer island, where I came from outer island, I don't worry about money, I don't worry about anything, because my food is what we're provided. A lot of food available, but I don't have the means to buy the imported good.
Traditional lifestyles and cultures supported by extended families still flourish in outer islands.
Quality of life is equal to higher income or higher earnings. That's an absolute false. It's almost impossible to starve on the outer islands. But in the community centers, in Koror, in Colonia, it becomes a little bit more difficult because you don't have that network that you can rely on. The biggest loss to this is the cultural changes. And we talk about behavior and cultural changes. In Palau, we can see it. The younger people want to move out and be on their own, have their own house, have their own cars. When I was growing up as a kid, my great-grandmother lived with us. My grandparents lived with us. My mom. We were all one family, and it worked so much better then than it works now.
I think our islanders will move back, or that migration to the main island will at some point come to a stop.
I really think that if there are initiatives, local initiatives, good leadership out there in the atolls, there are resource management plans, things like that, people will start going back.
The discussion acknowledged that outer island migration in the North Pacific countries was largely driven by socio-economic factors, and that climate change has, up to the present, only been a contributory factor. Climate change is already impacting the North Pacific countries. Work is underway to support communities build resilience to climate change.
It is true that climate change is here. The impacts, and it's going to stay for a while. So we need to know how to deal with it. Dealing with it can be very hard. But where I work, we're trying to help communities across the region in ensuring that these communities are resilient, in providing support. For example, establishing protected areas, whether it's terrestrial or marine, basically to make communities resilient to these impacts of climate change.
The panel discussion concluded with a strong message about current migration in the North Pacific countries.
I've been in Pohnpei for all my life, and I've never met a person who told me that him or her or a family member left the outer islands because of climate change or impacts of climate change.
Finishing with a strong message about the resilience of Pacific peoples.
We are not drowning, but we're fighting. That is something that touched my heart when it happened. We are not poor. We have the means, not monetary, but we have the knowledge, we have the resources. We have the right people today